Hello, world. This is TJ Morris, and you're listening to ET Radio. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly. Thank you, everybody on the planet Earth, home Gaia, that's been promoting us and telling their friends. Our spikes are amazing on this Allied Command organization. It's absolutely amazing how many people are interested in what we're doing. We didn't even put up UFO secret space, but apparently they're going to trust us to lead them forward. And I put a Mad Painter on here. So, Mad, if you can hear me on Skype, you're our producer for Fridays, too, and you're welcome to come in. And we apologize to Mad for Ken Johnston and Teresa J. Morris on Mondays on Revolution Radio. But Janet Carleson's showing up, and she's here, and we're going to talk about, I'm not even sure what we're going to talk about, other than getting this Allied Command going with at least 3 directors right now on the planet. That is Ken R. Johnston Sr., also known as Ralph Kennedy Johnston Sr., who worked at NASA through Grumman as a consultant and an astronaut in training and trained others with over 3,000 hours minimum. And we're going to have him talk about some of his NASA information. And Janet Carlesson worked in the business in video and audio in the movie industry in Pennsylvania while she was at the University of Pennsylvania, and I brought in speakers like Linda Moulton Howe, and she was a Trekkie, and I was too, Star Trek, and we got together talking about events having to do with the future, like Star Trek, and then she and I met in Psychic Network in the Hilton Hawaiian Village in the 94, I believe, 93 and 94, but we'll have her talk too, because the 3 of us are writing a book, but we're all space enthusiasts. So we have the ACO Association, or the Allied Command Organization, and we have the UFO Secret Space Command, and this is a group of thousands of people, and some more than others in social media. And then we have this UFO Association, which is like a trade association, but I started it back with Stanton T. Friedman and George Feiler and my husband, Thomas R. Morris, way back in the early 2000s, and I think it was 2003 actually. But I just have gotten back for now in 2019, I'm being asked to reactivate myself in a better way and to bring us together. And we've come up with the ACO because it's been good to us, for the Ascension Center organization and the Ascension Center Network, which Janet has. And then you've probably heard of David Wilcock, who likes to talk about the Ascension and the various levels of that. But tonight we're going to talk about the space travel and time travel, and we may even talk about NASA and what they're really doing. And I've written an article that I've put out on our various websites, including Cosmos Expo. And Janet Carlesson's helped me run radio for 7 years now, almost 8, coming up June. And so she's here with me now to help me. And Ken R. Johnston, I don't see him Mad, but I've already put his name up here, so we'll just leave it for now. So I guess let's get started by introducing Ken and Janet, each letting them tell you a little about themselves so you guys around the world can work with us. So, Janet, why don't you
ladies first.
Quick. Okay.
Okay.
We'll let,
yeah.
Because once, go ahead. We're going to let
I'll
you go first.
Anyway, I'm Janet Carlesson. I live in Maui, Hawaii, and I'm a ET contact experiencer. I've been interacting with extraterrestrials and paranormal phenomena all of my life. Back to even pre-birth, I have memories before I came in. And then in this life, I've worked on Johnston Atoll in a military installation. I was in the underground base. So been working with the, whatever that program's called, that's up for debate, the secret military somehow. There's different terms, secret space program, but people don't like that. I don't know. We're figuring it out. Allied Command. I guess we've settled on Allied Command for now as to what the program is called. Some people call it Project Stargate, the one I was in. Some people are in other programs, but we're piecing it together because that's the grand mystery. We don't know what's really going on with this secret program, but we're piecing it together. That's why we're here tonight doing the Allied Command, and we're going to see if we can figure this mystery out and solve it. But I don't think they're going to let us do that until there's full disclosure, and I don't know if full disclosure, will happen in our lifetime. In the meanwhile, I'm writing books. TJ and I are writing a book, and I'm writing an autobiography of all the stuff that's been going on in my life. And I work with my husband, Dr. Sasha Alexlesson, and we do books on the Anunnaki and other aspects of the UFO, paranormal, extraterrestrial field. And we just keep doing what we can. I know Ken, who's up next, is going to tell you about how he's going to be at an event in the UK. And someday I hope I can go there because I've never been to Europe. So anyway, I think that's enough about me. Back to you, TJ, so you can introduce Ken. Ken R. Johnston.
Great. Ken and Janet and I are authors and speakers sharing life together on the planet with many, many other people. But Ken R. Johnston is accepted in our new business for the ACO as the Allied Commander, but he's also the Fleet Commander, helping us with figure out all these different groups out there at the universal level, which is higher than the Solar Warden that many people have heard about from Corey Good out there in the lower levels. But let's let Ken start by introducing himself. So Ken R. Johnston Sr., what do you want us to call you, Fleet Commander or FC or just Ken or whatever? You tell us.
Be sure and call me in time for dinner. That's the most important thing.
That's right.
Just call me, I guess the Fleet Commander's 5-star Admiral. You can either call me Admiral Ken or just Ken. Works fine with me.
You want me to call Admiral Ken? Admiral Ken, if you want to take over. Now, there is no one higher in our group because there's just, the O10 is going to run the force or the Space Force, and that's a government officer at the 10th level. So, but he would be under you as far as we're concerned. So why don't you just tell everybody how you got into the space business? And this is 3D reality, folks.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I guess the best way to go to jump all the way back till I was in the 3rd grade in a little town called Hart, Texas, and a stepfather named T.C. Ray. Anyway, he got a phone call. By the way, this was when we had one of those devices hanging on the wall that had a little speaker thing that you could talk into and a thing to hold on the cord up to one ear. That's how far back it was, like 1945, something like that. Anyway, we got a call and said that there was a lightning strike that hit just right out from the property where we lived. And so my brothers, 2 older brothers and I, we put on our rubber boots and raced across the dirt roads we lived in those days, not pavement, and went out there and found this big flattened out circle about 100 feet in diameter. And there was this, I thought it was a bird, but it wound up I thought it was a whooping crane, but thanks to hypnotic regression through Dr. Sasha Lesson, we found out that it was actually a gray. And that was the beginning of me getting involved, I guess, with extraterrestrials, etc. But I went on and became a pilot, was in the Marine Corps, went to officer pilot training in Pensacola, and got out in 1966, about the time NASA was really building up the Apollo program. My brother, Dr. A.R. Johnston, was in charge of the vacuum chambers there, and he said, "Get your fanny down here because I need pilots and people with some electronic experience." I rushed down there, and I got offers from 5 different major aerospace corporations, of course, making a whole lot more money than we made when I was in the military. But anyway, I signed on, and for 14 years I was one of the civilian astronaut consultant pilots, and I had the privilege of being in closed circuit meetings with people such as Dr. Werner von Braun, as well as the people of NASA, and ultimately wound up when they cut down the research and development flights to the moon and made it just mission flights to the moon. They laid off 30,000 employees nationwide, and that's when I took my cue and went up to Seattle, Washington, and went to work for the Grumman Aerospace Corporation as a 737 flight instructor. So that got me up to there. Then later, I was listening to radios and things, and a person by the name of Richard C. Hoagland, and they were looking for people that had documents and records and things about our space program and what we may have found on Mars and what have you. And, of course, in those days, we kept our mouths shut because we had top secret clearances. And, I'd waited about 30 years at the time, and I wound up in touch with him. Mr. Hoagland lives in Seattle, and I took him to my house and I showed him the documents and records that I had kept And since it was more than 25 years, I figured, okay, it was time to make things public. And I went to Washington, D.C., and we made the presentation to representatives from all the major countries in the world, in which we laid it out that there were bases on the moon and looked like we have bases on Mars. Since then, thanks to the regression session, I found out that I actually became one of the secret space program pilots and operated on Mars and flying what I call the Hopper, but it was a small craft that could carry as many as 6. But then instead of having blades swinging around above your head like a helicopter or jets, this thing had small anti-gravity rings that caused it to lift up off, and then I could do what I call hop. We would program in the longitude and latitude on Mars where we wanted to land, hit the button, and it would go up, arc over, and come down, and then I'd hover and be able to land it. So that got me that far. Now, where I'm at right now is trying to help get the truth out to the world, and that's dangerous. I know that because I've already had threats, and fortunately, the documents and records I have had them digitized and given to the Roswell UFO Research and Research Center, as well as several other major universities, so that it wouldn't do any good to get rid of me, because if they did, it would create a big stink. And hopefully that's true, what I was told. Just hang on. And now I'm having the opportunity of working with Janet as well as TJ, and we're going to be involved in producing, and it may seem like we're playing games, but it's, to me, we're putting together an organization of the space fleet worldwide, because as soon as, and I'm, now right now, I'm going to go ahead and say what my prediction is, and it's September 22nd, 2019, and this is going to be holding until that time comes up. If it does, I'll find out. I'll know exactly why. There's supposed to be a total acknowledgement of the existence of extraterrestrials in our contact and what's been going on. So we only have a few months left. So you need to stay tuned, and if you've got information that you've been holding back all these years, get in touch with me, and we'll see that we get the right people and the right information out to everybody else in the world. That's about it for me.
Ken,
Yes,
can you
ma'am.
tell us more about that date? Where do you get that date? What's your source of information?
Well, if I did that, I'd probably put that person into a little bit of danger. But a lot of it has been, some of it came from the regression session, but then also with other people that have come forward and those that are contacted me after I did come forward. And by taking what they were doing and where they were and what they're expecting to happen, I was able to piece it together, and that's where I came up with exactly. Now, by the way, since I came forward and said September 22nd, 2019, there have been other people that are well known, and I won't say their names, but they put on programs and all of a sudden now they're using the September 22nd that I had put out on the radio along with TJ a couple of months ago or several months ago. So that's about as close as I can give you.
The equinox or something? What is that around the?
Well, now part of that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is when Mars will be at one of its closest approaches to our orbit. Somebody can double check on me see if my memory works right. Sasha ought to know that stuff. It's his expertise.
Yes. So you mentioned, you evoked Werner von Braun, and I'm watching a series called Strange Angel about Jack Parsons of JPL,
right.
of JPL, which was, I guess, part of NASA. And Jack Parsons was communicating with Werner von Braun ever since he was 18. So he's born in, what did we figure out, 1914. So before World War II, he started communicating with him.
Right.
And they were sharing rocket fuel formulas, right? And I'm watching the show, and in last night's episode, they realized that von Braun is able to, or he's threatening, he's joined Hitler's forces, and he's saying, I can launch a missile from Germany that will hit London. So they